Most people talk about the developing world and the developed world. And you've probably used these labels yourself. I mean, what's wrong with that? Journalists, politicians, activists, teachers, and researchers use these terms all the time. But when people say developing and developed, what they're probably thinking about is poor countries and rich countries. But regardless of the wording that's used, the important thing is the picture of the world people have in their heads and how that picture compares to reality. Let's check it against data. Some of the best indicators for well-being and country development are infant mortality and fertility rate. Infant mortality shows us how good the general health care is, parental care, sanitary conditions, nutritional supply, and social support for disadvantaged families. And the amount of babies per woman tells us that having fewer children is driven by rising standards of living, mechanization of work, displacement of animals, increasing females in the workforce, higher education, and better healthcare. So if we take these two factors and plot them on a chart, it looks like this. And this chart shows babies per woman and infant survival rates for all countries. And the size of the bubble represents the size of the country's population. Now, clearly the countries fall nicely into two boxes labeled developing and developed. And there's a clear gap between the two boxes, which contain only 15 small countries accounting for less than 2% of global population. And to the left are countries like China and India, which have infant mortality rates far exceeding 5%, and children per woman are above 5, which both are indicators of lower standards of living. To the right, we have countries like the US and most of Europe, where most women have fewer than 3 children, and infant mortality is on average far below 4.5%, which are indicators of prosperity and high standards of living. And this is exactly the image most people have of the world in their heads.